Hi, I'm Dr. Carey with Lifetime Health and Wellness, and this is our It Takes a Village series. We also have
Dr. Michelle.
And
Hi, I'm Coach Molly.
So Molly, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I wear many different hats. One of the hats that I own is as a CrossFit gym owner. I am one of the owners of CrossFit Thunderbolt. We also go by the name Thunderbolt Strength and Conditioning. Another hat that I wear is as a BirthFit leader. So I am with BirthFit Fox Valley, and we work with prenatal, postpartum moms, and it really is separate from CrossFit. So BirthFit is not CrossFit. Another hat that I wear, I'm also a Leche League leader, even though my children are all grown and into the next phase of life, a 20-year-old and 2 teenagers. But I still keep my foot in that world. So that's a little bit about myself. 3 hats that I wear.
Cool. So, I mean, go ahead and break it down with your 3 hats.
Yeah. So I started as a Leche League leader something like 17 years ago. And that was my first entrance into working with new moms. And it's something I've always been passionate about because there was support that I needed when I was a new mom. And I just became very passionate about being able to offer that support to other moms, whether it's just a listening ear or providing a support group where moms can talk through what they're going through, know that what they're going through might be normal, or what are some steps that they can do to, feel better. So that was my first step into working with new moms. And over time, I became a coach and I got involved with CrossFit. And so CrossFit Thunderbolt, getting involved with that, becoming an owner and a coach with just a real passion for being able to help people enjoy their lives and just be fitter and be able to run around with their children. And then I found this place where both of those worlds kind of meshed together. So BirthFit was something that kind of brought the two together, being able to work with prenatal moms who are pregnant, and help them be as healthy and fit as they can to have the best possible outcome for pregnancy and labor. And then afterwards, what it looks like to come back after you've had a baby, healing your diastasis, working on your pelvic floor, things that a lot of other gyms and personal trainers kind of overlook. So that's a little bit of how my worlds intersect.
Cool. So what does BirthFit involve? Like what kind of classes, what do you guys, like different exercises or things like that?
Sure. So we recently have had a large influx of pregnant women at our gym, which is wonderful. Something is in the water. So we had a large group of pregnant women, and we did a class just for them. So rather than taking the workout that's written for a different class, a different population, and kind of modifying it, which you can do, but instead of that, we were working on exercises that were specifically for what they need. So for example, working on the posterior chain, the glutes, the hamstrings, doing single-sided work so that they can notice if anything's going on with their hips, if there's imbalances, and also working on that. So lunges and some other things like that. There's no specific midline work or core work, meaning no crunches, no V-ups, no toes to bar. So the way that we work on core in that prenatal class and also in the postpartum class is more of the core as a total unit. So things like farmer carries, a version of dead bugs that we call functional progression 1. So basically where the muscles in the front of the core, the muscles on the side, and the muscles in the back are all working together along with the diaphragm and the pelvic floor to create a strong core rather than crunches that are just working one part of the core. So that's an example of the prenatal fitness class. And then we have a specific postpartum series. It's 8 classes long, 2 classes a week for 4 weeks. And that is specifically for women who just had a baby. And there are sometimes women a little farther along, maybe 2 years up to 4 years farther along the road, that still seek that class out. it's for women that want to get back to exercise, but want to set a solid foundation. So we're working on exercises that help their diastasis to heal and focus on making sure that the pelvic floor is strong and just getting the foundational of functional movement going again before they rush back into whatever that other fitness class is that they want to get back into.
Awesome. With your prenatal classes, do you do this a certain amount of times per week, or is it like a package, or like how often should they do it?
So the prenatal class usually meets twice a week. The way that we had it set up was Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. And there's a little bit of flex with that because of the, who's pregnant, who just had a baby. So all of those women I was just speaking about just had their babies. There is one who's due in about 2 weeks. And then there's another round that are still pretty early on. So we'll be firing back up again. But typically we meet 2 days a week, and we end up, it's supposed to be for an hour, but the classes end up going a little bit longer just because we take our time. A lot of our workouts have a timed rest in them. So kind of similar to the way that contractions are, where there's work and rest. That is the way some of our workouts are. And it also makes a nice place for women to kind of talk about their experiences, where they are in pregnancy. So that's kind of what the classes look like.
Awesome. And do you recommend for those prenatal classes starting at a certain point in their pregnancy, or from day one, question. Or when do they kind of transition into like the prenatal type classes?
Yeah. So it really depends. We have some women who haven't been working out and seek out the class when they find out they're pregnant because maybe they had diastasis last time, or they're feeling like this is really important. I want to get healthy now. So we do take women that can start from ground zero. Also being with the CrossFit gym, we have some women that are transitioning over, and they might take some CrossFit classes and then also take the prenatal classes. And what I've noticed there is that there's a certain point, a tipping point, when women feel they're kind of getting tired of modifying everything in the class and feeling, like they're the only one who's doing that. And of course we do that for everybody, but they kind of start to feel, well, I think I'd like to work out in this class where not everything is modified. So I see that tipping point where they go from a lot of CrossFit classes and maybe some prenatal classes to mostly prenatal classes, like 6 or 7 months.
Okay.
That's great. And how soon postpartum can women start to get involved with your postpartum series?
So that's a good question. We actually have 2 different postpartum groups. One is called Postpartum Breath and Flow. And Breath and Flow can start as early as 4 weeks postpartum because we're not really going to be lifting anything. It's simply getting in touch with diaphragmatic breathing and BirthFit's functional progression, which is sort of a series of dead bugs and just starting to engage the core again without lifting weights or doing anything like that. So Breath and Flow can start as early as 4 weeks postpartum. And then the postpartum series, which is the other series, typically starts when women get that checkup with their midwife or their OB-GYN that says you're released to do exercise. So we do those same functional progressions there, but then we start to squat again. And we start to do farmer's carries and elevated push-ups and start to put a little more working on posture with weight as well. So
cool.
Yeah, a lot of questions I had going through my head, you actually already answered them, which is awesome. And I think the importance of, and just in case our viewers don't know what a diastasis is, just the separation of the abdominal muscles, so important for the core. And that's great that you guys also help address that and pelvic floor, because one of the first things that we do in our postpartum checkup is we'll check them to see if they have a separation. Not all facilities where you give birth will do it or are trained to do it. Right. So it's nice to know that, when these women they're ready to or they're eager, to bounce back and, do momming, in a proper way, that they'll have a place like your facility to be able to do it safely because they're being coached and monitored, and you've been trained on it and you know what to look out for.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful that you guys check for it because, as you said, I I'm seeing a little bit more where women are telling me my doctor did check my diastasis, but not a lot. It's still not a lot. So it's wonderful that you guys are doing that. I know you have a special finger to the pulse of the mom and baby and family dynamic.
Yeah, same with you guys. And I think it's great too, how you mentioned, you know, I bet like when you notice the women that do your prenatal and then go to your postnatal, I'm sure they kind of bounce back a lot quicker because, you know, their body's already kind of set and knows what to do. And we kind of see the same thing, like when we see our mamas before pregnancy and then when we see them after as well, their bodies kind of just pick up and kind of remember a lot quicker, and then they bounce back and they feel better and, you know, just healthier in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the CrossFit world too, with more knowledge about exercise now, we're realizing that some things that we've kind of normalized maybe shouldn't be so normal. For example, peeing while doing double unders. Mm-hmm. And as I say to my women, like, just because it happens a lot and we don't need to be ashamed of it, that's true. But at the same time, something's wrong. Like, let's get it fixed. Let's work on it. So that's another way that we see women coming back faster, because they know if at a point in the pregnancy they start to have incontinence or something, we're going to stop that activity. It's a sign that it's just too much. And we're not going to pick it back up again until the body's ready. So, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. Are there any just parting tips for, you know, that you would want all women to know with regards to the whole birth fit and, you know, before and after?
I guess I would say just that it's an amazing change that a woman goes through, going from not having a child to going through pregnancy to having a child, and also women or families that go through adoption and different ways of becoming a family. It's a huge transition that goes on, and to have respect for that transition, what it looks like, rather than trying to rush to get back to how it was before, but thinking about how things have changed and how you're better, how you can be stronger, how you can progress with what you have now, and just having a lot of respect for the changes that your body has been through, rather than all this pressure to, you know, look like somebody else or go back to what you were before.
No, that's great.
That is spot on. I think, yeah, just honoring yourself in all the different stages. And that's why, you know, I think what we do is very complementary, because we know that, you know, how someone who's not pregnant, you know, how their bodies, how their patterns present, you know, and then when they are pregnant, and, you know, the stresses, good and bad, that go on with that. And then, of course, what happens immediately postpartum, and just being able to honor and individualize care, your fitness, you know, all of it. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on with us.
Great. Thank you for being on. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Take care.